been gardening for a very long time, only 3 years in this location, and there's a lot of things that I still haven't learned or that I still have to learn about gardening here. I started out in sandy soil when I was learning to garden. It was very sandy, and I learned to deal with those strengths and limitations of sandy soil. Pretty much anything would grow as long as you gave it enough water. I was working on sand. I was working on plants that didn't need as much water and developing varieties that didn't need as much water. And then I moved here and I discovered that that's not the problem here. When I planted out tomatoes, for example, from my drought-tolerant varieties, they died here because they drowned. They had too much water. But when you first move to a new property, and I knew this, I heard it, but it didn't mean anything to me. When you first move to a new property, take a year or two just to see what the property is like. What is growing? Where does the water pool? Where are the trees? And I didn't do any of that. I just jumped right in. I was so excited to get my new property and to start working with it. One of the things that I discovered was that there is an area around maple trees where you can't grow anything because you can't put a shovel into the ground. There are too many roots. But being me, I had planted my garlic in that area. So when I tried to dig it, I got leaves but no bulbs. Most of the bulbs stayed in the ground because I couldn't get the shovel in deep enough to get the garlic. So, just learning process, right? Take the time to get used to a new property, to think. There are things that I would do differently now if I moved here now. There are a lot of things that I would do differently. This is my new garlic patch. It is going to rotate with or at least for now, the plan is that it is going to rotate with my compost area. I'm splitting the garden in 5 sections. The tree lines are the boundaries. Apricot row, peach row, plum row, which none of the plums survived, but the almond row. So the plum row is basically herbs, but so this is garlic, and it's going to rotate, and this is spring planted, so this is just to get garlic to plant in the fall, because it needs to be planted in October. But it will rotate with my compost area. There are 4 sections of my garden that will be planting, and then the 5th will be all of the brush, all of the grass, all of the leaves, and I will just pile it and let it compost down during the summer, during one summer and one winter, and then rotate it for the following year. But anyway, the thought was, if you move to a new place, and I don't care how small your place is, you need to take the time to get used to the sun, to get used to the rain, to get used to the wind. This place is very, very seldom without wind. We get 30, 50 mile an hour winds regularly, and not just in the winter. Lots and lots and lots of wind, and just simple things. Because when I wanted, when I put a screen door on my front door, and I reversed it from the direction of the door itself. And I did that for a specific reason. because when I walk out, if it's slippery, if there's ice, I need to be able to reach the railing without wrenching the door off its hinges because of wind or whatever. Anyway, the idea was that I needed to be able to reach the railing so that I could walk out. So I reversed the door, and so the inside door opens one way and the outside door opens. Okay, the inside door is connected on the coming from the inside. The inside door is connected on the right, and the outside door is connected on the left. But when we get 50, 70 mile an hour winds, that just blows that door back against the house. And I had a hinge or a spring on it to keep it from banging around, to control the opening and closing of the door. And the wind literally ripped the connections for that hinge out of the door. It swung the door back so completely, so hard, that it ripped that pneumatic opener right off. So if I had waited, if I had considered, the winds when I put that door on, I probably would have done it differently. If I had waited and considered, I would have planted the garlic in a different place. If I had waited and considered, my garden would be in a different place. But just the idea of wait and see. Where does the sun come from? Where does the wind come from? Where do you have noise pollution that you want to block out? Do you have pine trees or trees that aren't going to allow anything to grow under them? Take the time to consider before you make any changes, and whether that consideration is 6 months or a year or 5 years, that depends entirely on you. But if I could do this over again, there are some things that I would do very differently. So I'm going to try to get up because
I will talk with you later.